Welcome to These Kids Can't Wait, Discovering the World of Rare Disease. Welcome to These Kids Can't Wait, where we highlight the change makers in our community and share the stories of families living with rare disease. And before we jump into questions, I want to take a moment to share an update on the work happening at the Lost Enzyme Project and why this moment feels so important to us. The Lost Enzyme Project was created with one clear mission: to help develop a treatment for children and families affected by Beta-Mannosidosis, an ultra-rare, devastating genetic disease. Over the past few years, our organization has grown in ways we could have never imagined. We now have a dedicated patient identification team, fundraising, and patient advocacy team, and our community continues to grow every single day. We are identifying new patients on a weekly basis, learning more about Beta-Mannosidosis, building connections between families and researchers, and spreading awareness around the world. Most importantly, we are closer than ever to a potential treatment, something that once felt impossible. As we look ahead, 2026 is shaping up to be a pivotal year for our foundation. This is real momentum, real hope, and real progress happening, and we are so excited for what's next. In today's episode, we're sharing updates on where we're at in the treatment development process, what the road ahead looks like, and how all of this is impacting the families right now. I'm joined today by Laurel Greger and Lorena Lomelin. Laurel, let's start with you. Can you tell our listeners about the Lost Enzyme Project and your connection to the foundation?
Sure. So the Lost Enzyme Project is a nonprofit that is dedicated to supporting those with beta-mannosidosis and their families. Um, we are the beta community, really, and we are supporting advancements in treatment as well as trying to connect the community. And so my role really evolved with each of your roles. We founded it together and have just come leaps and bounds since it started. It's been exciting.
Lorena, what does life as a rare mom look like for you right now? And how has that changed since the foundation first began?
Again, I know we're all on different paths and journeys of where our kids are at. As far as life as a rare mom, it just changes kind of your mindset. So my brain is always thinking, always trying to find, what can we do to, for Dean, what's happening with the kid, with Oliver, with Skylar, all the other kids, kind of always trying to um, come up with solutions, doing a lot of reading, a lot of scientific journal reading, kind of seeing if things pop up that maybe we can bring up to the doctors. In my place, we go to quite a few doctor's appointments a year. Again, a lot of it's just to keep a baseline for Dean right now, but still, it's a lot for Dean. He's always like, why do I got to leave school? Why do I got to miss that? I don't want to miss my art project. But he's really a trooper. So I think like any parent who has a child with a rare disease or is going through an illness, um, your mindset in your life instantly changes once they're diagnosed, and you just kind of hopefully just get going. Now, with the Lost Enzyme Project started, I've definitely feel now that we have a community, that we're a lot stronger, and that we're making a difference for those new patients that are being diagnosed, that they feel like they do have a place and a group of parents to talk to when they're going through that devastating news.
Yeah, our community has definitely grown a little bit. And what do you guys think the biggest milestones have been the past 2 years for our foundation?
I think for me, it's getting through or almost completing the preclinical studies. I mean, that was something that was our maiden voyage with fundraising and getting all of that underway. And now we have real results, we have data, and it's very exciting. I think the treatment, the enzyme replacement therapy, is a miracle treatment. And I'm just really excited to move into treatment development and into those next stages. Um, Kind of going back to that first question of what it's like to be a rare mom right now, you know, for me, it's changed in that Oliver is progressing quite rapidly now. And so I feel this constant pressure. Um, things need to move fast, and that's just often not the way it works, especially when you're trying to develop new treatment and advance medicine in the rare world. And so it's overwhelming at times. And it's just, it feels so critical. And I don't know if you feel the same way, Erin, with where Skylar's at, but it feels more monumentous, more important. Yeah.
Yeah. And for our listeners who are not familiar with the Lost Enzyme Project, we're dedicated to creating a treatment for our kids with beta-mannosidosis. And we're in the process of doing preclinical trials right now. We have an enzyme that we're testing on mice, and we are getting phenomenal results. And so there's a couple more stages that we need to go through to get this drug into our children. Lorena, do you want to tell our listeners kind of that treatment development process?
So again, luckily, again, as far as a group of, parents for beta-mannosidosis, we were able to obtain mice that have the same same makeup as beta as our children, and so we were able to get those mice, and then we were able to get some of the enzyme replacement therapy that we were able to give to the mice. So what it is that for the past 9 months we have been treating them for giving them the enzyme the same similar way we would probably give it to the children. We are giving it to them like an almost like an IV form, and seeing if it'll clear the waste from their body. And from what it looks like, it is working. And also we're also doing a lot of testing on the mice as far as physical and their physical strength and a lot of their mental capacity, kind of similar as again what we see happening with the children, seeing if there is a decline and if the enzyme is actually helping. So we've done a lot of that testing. Again, a lot of it is like them running on a wheel or um, doing a maze and seeing if they can remember the maze and how fast it is and those different types of things. But again, a lot of the similar testing you would do for any other drug therapy. We start with the small, and then we kind of build up and hopefully can get this to the clinical trials to the patients.
Yeah. And what's after preclinical trials?
After preclinical trials will be like again, the hope is that we can then get with the FDA. Hopefully they'll accept the results, and or they may come back to us and say, hey, you're going to need to do this test as well. I know we talked about toxicology studies and working with maybe some other companies that would help with that. But again, the ultimate goal is for them to say, okay, this is a need, you have a product, let's get this into clinical trials and see if it'll help, it'll help the kids.
For Skylar, we chose to do a bone marrow transplant to see if that would help slow down the progression. And one thing we've noticed is even after the bone marrow transplant, we've seen a lot of improvements in her in some areas, but she still has the elevated oligosaccharides in her urine. And doctors agree that you need this enzyme replacement therapy. And I think some of the kids need it, a little sooner than others. But the next step would be for us is to get this drug manufactured. So if we needed, we could possibly do compassionate use for some of the children. But then once it's manufactured, we could hopefully move into clinical trials. So I think manufacturing it is a very crucial step. What do you guys think is next for our foundation 2026?
Well, I hope it's manufacturing and compassionate use or clinical trials. I mean, for me, that's everything. Of course, I think at the same time, we have to identify more patients because if this drug is going to be made and have longevity, we need a patient population that can support it. And of course, we know that those patients are out there, they're just not being diagnosed. And so, um, sometimes I feel like so much of it's up to us to really educate, spread the word, grow the community, get the treatment made. I mean, we're really doing it all and it's all important.
Yeah. Laurel, why do you think natural history studies are crucial um, for foundations like ours in developing a treatment?
Well, I think it paints a better picture of what the disease is. How does it start? How does it progress? What are the lives of these children looking like? And then you can take that data and have endpoints and say, this is why it's critical that we have treatment. This is why it's critical that we have funding. This disease is serious. It's something that is progressive in nature, and it's something that we have the technology to treat. I mean, we're lucky in a sense that there is the technology, whether it's enzyme replacement therapy or gene therapy, to make a significant change in children's lives and adult lives, and so much of it is catching it early, treating it early, but there's the technology to do it. And that's huge. And so I think it's really pushing that agenda through so that essentially we end suffering for people.
Yeah.
So, Erin, like everything, what has been some of the challenges that we've run into with our goal of a treatment?
Having a larger patient population, would definitely help move things along, but the biggest hurdle is the cost of everything. It's really important to have those natural history studies, but those, can cost anywhere between, I don't know, 25 to 100,000, right? Then there's the cost of manufacturing, and we've been given a quote that it could take around $3 million to create this drug for our kids. After that, we want to move into clinical trials, and we've also been told that that could be around $10 million potentially. So we're just taking taking it step by step, baby steps at this time, and it's really important that we start raising these funds so we can move forward.
Yeah, that's definitely a challenge. I mean, again, when we hear millions and we're average parents, we're not in the millionaire status yet. I'm hoping that when I would, hit the lotto, but yeah, that is definitely it's definitely a shocker. But I like we've spoken to a lot of other advocate groups that have been able to raise that money. Again, it's a lot of community pulling the community together, pulling philanthropy, just business opportunities, anything that we can. If they've done it, I know that we are on our way, on our path to get there as well.
Yeah, and there's grants that we can apply for as well, but like you said, it really is the support of the community, and Laurel's had an incredible, community surround her and Oliver.
We've really been blessed. Great Falls has really stepped up to the plate, and we're a small community. We're kind of a city that the population stays the same, and it has been the same for many, many years, like decades. Um, and we're definitely a blue collar community, and everyone has just stepped up and really shown up for the cause, which has been humbling and wonderful.
Yeah. What do you think the top priority is for the Lost Enzyme Project, over the next 6 to 12 months?
I feel like there's so many priorities. I think fundraising. I mean, essentially everything comes down to money, right? So we've got to get the funds to move to the next step. And it has been daunting because, like Lorena said, we're parents. We're all none of us have this background. I don't think 5 years ago any one of us would have thought, I'm gonna pioneer making a new drug and pushing it through the FDA and getting it hopefully marketed globally. Like that's on my to-do list. I mean, none of us had any idea of how this even works. And it's still a learning process because so much of the business side and the science and, the regulatory side, it's all new. And so we're learning as we go. And I'm so proud of us because we're a small group of parents. It's not like we're an organization that has, 20 people, 30 people. I mean, we're several families that have just taken this on and are so dedicated and passionate. And, when there's will, there's a way. And I think we have a lot of will.
Exactly. Yeah. And we have some pretty fun campaigns and fundraising opportunities coming up for our foundation this year. So I'm excited to get those going. How can our listeners help move this work forward?
I mean, like I said, just getting the word out is one way. So if you want to share, share our podcast, share our website. Again, sometimes it's may not it's someone that you know or the person that they know that may have connections. I think that's how we've pushed through this far already, is just, the people we know and then the people that they know, and them coming and really saying, what can I do to help? So just as far as we've gotten, like I said, with our as a advocacy group, a small group, I think we've already really pushed that mountain. And that we just got to continue to do that. Obviously, if there's, anyone feels generous and would like to donate to the Lost Enzyme Project, for Beta-Mannosidosis and help us find our treatment, that's always a blessing. But again, sometimes just even sharing and also keeping our kids and our families in your thoughts and prayers. That's also something very important. I think it's very strong and, helps a lot with our morale, with keeping us going as well.
You don't have to be an expert in rare disease or in, you know, the biotech firm industry. Anyone can participate in the foundation. Right now, I've got my dad watching Skylar in the hospital so I can film this podcast and we can get the word out and we can share, where we're at in the foundation. There's so many things that you can do just to support these kids in the foundation.
And I think that that old game 7 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. I feel like in life, it's so true because, Lorena, like you were saying, these little things matter. And so it might be someone that has like a little idea of saying, oh, hey, I know so and so, and they might do an advertisement for you. Or, oh, my friend is, a doctor and they were curious about, helping out with this. I mean, there's all kinds of little things. And when they all come together, there's these opportunities that just kind of lead in bigger and bigger things. And so it's kind of exciting because you sort of never know what's going to come next and what opportunity can come out of something, a conversation or a phone call or an email. And I feel like it's those connections, it's the human connection, and of course, our perseverance that has gotten us where we are now and will continue to get us where we need to go.
Yeah. How does the pace of the drug development feel when you're watching your own child decline?
Oh God, cement. It's like cement drying. It's so slow. Um it's my biggest worry. I mean, Oliver is progressing more rapidly right now than the treatment development is, and that's just the honest truth, and it's terrifying. Um and it's so hard to know that, if one of us, had a couple $1 million, we'd be in a different situation. And, you know, millions of dollars is so much money. And yet in some circles, it's nothing. It's a drop in the bucket. It's literally nothing. Um, and what, $3 million, for example, to create a first batch of enzyme, that would create enzyme for 5 years, I think we've been told, and that's 5 years of life. I mean, how do you put a price tag on that? It's hard. It feels like it's moving too slow, and yet we're doing our best, and that's all we can do.
What keeps you hopeful even in the hardest moments?
I guess the treatment. There's no other hope right now bigger than making our kids' lives better and getting this treatment to them. I guess it's also sort of fueled by knowing that you, Erin, and you, Lorena, and our families are so driven and passionate. I think there's real strength in our little community because we all get it and we're together in this.
What's really encouraging is all of the friends and family that have surrounded us and have supported us. We have friends who are writing manuscripts for us at no cost and doing research. And we've got so many doctors who are helping us out of, the kindness of their own heart. And just the team that we've put together in our organization is incredible. And that's what kind of gives me hope and encouragement is we have so many cheerleaders and we have people helping us just because they want to. And we have just this vast community of experts. And we've got PhDs, we've got interns, we have, incredible tech support and cybersecurity. We're so eclectic, but it's all coming together, and it's really encouraging.
What gives you hope, Lorena?
Gives me hope. I mean, I think again, just as far as we've come, obviously that's their goal is to get to get to the treatment, get it into the kids. But just the fact that we've even gotten this far in such a short time really gives me hope. And that we've been able to raise, again, we've been able to raise, $500,000 in, what was that, 2 years? If that, so that gives me hope in that, again, every day we're meeting new people, every day we're talking to them and they're like, hey, tell me more. Oh, again, here's one person. So that really gives me hope, and like everything, I know we're all in different stages and I know it's a very scary ride. And that's again, I really do hope that we are able to get like an angel donor or some type of, company backing that would get us this treatment as soon as possible so we can really see um, or stop the progression and really just, give our kids, give your kids specifically, some, time and take some of that stress off of you as parents, like I said, and myself, but a lot. I know your stress level is a lot higher and you're in a lot different place. So that's what gives me hope.
I feel like we've learned so much throughout this process. I want to write down a roadmap for other families that are going through this. What would you guys say to other rare disease families who are out there waiting for a treatment?
I think for me, I just say don't give up. Um, Progress is progress. And even if it's a tiny, you know, that day you made a new connection or you got a new specialist on board or, whatever it is, your child had a small success, you really just have to live off of that positivity and that momentum and that progress and just keep going, because it doesn't, you don't have to make leaps and bounds. This journey, I feel like overall is just small steps. It's distance, right? We're not in a sprint. I mean, in a sense, like we are in a sprint, but it's a long journey. And so you have to have endurance and persistence. And so just keep going.
Yeah, and don't stop talking about it. That's the other thing.
Yep.
Don't be shy. It's hard. I mean, I'm still kind of a shy person too, but you just have to. I know like our other parent, Fernando, I love his just like, I'm just gonna say it, gets on the mic and is like, are you gonna help us? And that to me was, I turned around and looked at him and was like, oh wow, I wasn't gonna approach it that way. But you know what? He got an answer. And that's something that I think all parents who have a child that's going through something, is just keep talking about it. Don't be embarrassed. Just keep bringing it up, bring up positive stories, bring up the negative too, but just keep keep advocating for your child, keep advocating for yourself, and just, that's all, even if that's all we can do, we can continue to get that out. So somebody says, "Oh yeah, I've heard of that disease. Oh, I've seen that," or it brings it to light. We're not, not, and there's no shame in it. We just got to be, very loud and just keep screaming it off the mountain until, someone hears us or many people hear us. And that's something I think it's helped. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we're all definitely outside of our comfort zone at this point, but we're growing and we're learning and we're making progress, which is great and which is very encouraging. Thank you for joining this update from the Lost Enzyme Project. As we've shared today, this progress is real, but so is the urgency. Behind every milestone in treatment development is a child waiting and a family hoping for more time. If you'd like to learn more about our work, follow our progress, or find ways to support the path forward to a treatment in 2026, visit tlep.org, and we've included resources in the show notes below. Thank you again for listening.
Thank you for joining us on These Kids Can't Wait. Every story shared brings us one step closer to awareness, advocacy, and action. If you've been inspired, please subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode.
To learn more about the Lost Enzyme Project or donate to the cause, you can visit our website, Instagram, or Facebook page. Those links will be provided in the show notes below. Thank you again, and remember, these kids can't wait, but together, we can make a difference. Thank you for joining this council update from the Lost Enzyme Project. As we've shared today, this progress is real, but so is the urgency. Behind every milestone in treatment development is a child waiting and a family hoping for more time. If you'd like to learn more about our work, follow our progress, or find ways to support the path forward to a treatment in 2026, visit tlep.org, and we've included resources in the show notes below. Thank you again for listening.